Hello there and welcome to Legal Break. I'm Maureen Akers, and with me today our guest Gary Bruce of the law offices of Gary Bruce right here in Columbus. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be here again.
Yes, every
Thanks.
Wednesday. And today we're answering a viewer question. So real quick, we'll tell our viewers too, if you'd like to submit a question, it's real easy to do. You can just type in the email address legalbreak@WTVM.com and we'll get your questions. So this one concerns workers' comp or workman's comp. If you're injured and receive treatment by a doctor, can that doctor or that provider terminate your treatment?
First, I want to say this. If you have a question, sometimes we don't use them on the air, but we do try to answer them. So feel free to send the questions in. As for workers' comp, yes, a doctor can quit seeing you, you know, and a lot of times they do. But the issue is that your last resort. And in workers' comp, you're entitled to a second opinion. So if you don't agree with what's happening medically, if you need, or if you feel like you need to have somebody else check you out, then you're entitled to have that done. So you have to petition for that sometimes. You can always ask, and they're supposed to do it. They won't necessarily tell you, the adjusters won't necessarily tell you, but you're entitled to that. So if they refuse or they delay it or they won't get things set up for you, then sometimes that's when people come to a lawyer, say, look, I got to have some help on this. So sometimes people do get cut off and they don't think, and that nobody's offering to do anything else, and a lot of times that's when we get involved. Because workers' comp is not like a lawsuit case. It's a administrative proceeding in Georgia anyway, and we petition to resolve issues. So you don't have a jury trial, you don't have pain and suffering, you don't have those things, but if your medical care is cut off, if you're not receiving the time off from work benefits that you should have, then a lot of times we are able to petition to court, and that's what we do, and ask the court for relief, and then things move along from there.
And you can go from there. But you do have that right if you've been cut off from treatment and you're not quite sure that that was what you thought should have happened, then you can petition for that.
Yeah, generally if you're hurt on the job, what the statutes allow for is that your medical is going to get taken care of. You're going to be paid for your lost earnings to a certain degree, and then hopefully you get back to work quickly. If some part of that falls apart, that's when people call lawyers, and we don't like to get involved if we don't need to be, but sometimes obviously it's necessary.
Sometimes you do, yeah. So so if you still need to use a brace or some other medical item to perform your duties on your job, what do you do then?
Well, generally, if you have some limitation on your ability, your doctor will note that, and then your employer has an obligation to accommodate that. Those are some of the issues that come up, and we're happy to answer questions about it if you have some.
Very good. Well, thank you so very much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you on the very next Legal Break.